everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Nonprofit Show. I am delighted that you're here. And today we have a really interesting guest, Cindy Kenville, that is one of the leaders in animal welfare across this great country of ours. And so we're going to be talking to her about leading an animal welfare nonprofit and what that looks like, especially in these changing times of our nonprofit sector. It's going to be really interesting to learn what Cindy is experiencing with her organization, and we'll kind of tie that in to what a lot of other organizations are doing. I think a lot of times we think animal welfare is on its own, but it links to so many other nonprofit sectors, and so this is going to be a lot of fun. Again, if you don't know who I am, I'm Julia Patrick, CEO of the American Nonprofit Academy. Jarrett Ransom, my trusted sidekick, the nonprofit nerd herself and CEO of the Raven Group, is not with us today, but she'll be back with us tomorrow. We want to make sure that we thank all of our presenting sponsors who are with us day in and day out. Bloomerang, American Nonprofit Academy, Your Part-Time Controller, Be Generous, Fundraising Academy at National University, Staffing Boutique, Nonprofit Thought Leader, and Nonprofit Nerd. These are the folks that have been with us for most of them that you see or have just listened to. They've been with us from day one, and we're now in year 3. So it's quite amazing. Again, if you want to find any of our more than 600 episodes, you'll find them in our very extensive library archive, and you can find them on Roku, YouTube, Vimeo, and Amazon Fire TV. And if you like to consume your content via podcast, we just started taking all these shows into podcast form. So we have several months. I think we're probably close to 6 months of podcast episodes. So you can join in on that. Okay, Cindy, back to you, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Okay, Cindy Kenville, you're the CEO of Heidi's Village.
Yes.
Talk to us about Heidi's Village.
Sure, great. Well, first, thanks for having me on. This is a lot of fun. Well, Heidi's Village actually is a fairly new animal welfare organization. We opened up in the midst of the pandemic in April of 2020. So the best made, you know what they say, the best made plans, right? But
wow.
That's okay, because animal needs, they're always there, and there's always a need. So we were very grateful that we could get open and start helping out animals right away. So Heidi's Village is really designed to work with other rescue partners. So the founder, Jenny Jontas, her vision really was to be able to provide a safe place that dogs and or cats could come while they are transitioning either into foster care or into their forever home. So there's huge needs for animals in care right now, and oftentimes there just isn't a space for them. So it's not that people don't want to help them, they just had nowhere to take them and make sure they were safe. So we work with about 80 different partnering rescue organizations and provide boarding services for up to 250 dogs and over 200 cats. So it's quite the facility. We have 5 acres here, so it's a beautiful state-of-the-art. We have a full vet clinic here, so we can provide everything at affordable prices. So really our goal is to provide the rescue organizations a safe place to put their animals for a very reasonable cost, like $15 a night. And then we have the full vet services available so they can get them prepared.
Wow. So I gotta back up and ask you, how long were you in process to get this nonprofit launched, and then to launch it during this amazing crisis? What was that like?
Well, I wasn't actually the CEO at the time, but I can talk from the lessons I've learned from Jenny and the previous. They actually bought the property back in 2017 at 40th Street in Van Buren, and it took several years of going through City of Phoenix and development and getting that all done, and then getting the building up and operational was about another 1.5 to 2 years construction. So 2020 just the goal was March of 2020. We had our grand opening all planned and all the wine and beer and food ordered. And unfortunately, it didn't happen. But we did open. I mean, we still opened and we still started working with the rescues and taking in animals here. But we have seen, at that time, we had probably 25 employees. We're now up to over 75 employees. So it's a lot to keep the organization up and running.
Oh my goodness. Well, how brave of you, of the leaders, and certainly your founder, to press forward and keep going, because that's one of the things that we saw so much with the nonprofit show, is that folks that just like hit that pause button because they said, "Oh, this will be over. This isn't going to last forever," and then they really ended up shooting themselves in the foot per se, because they lost time and momentum.
Yes.
So really cool that you were able to move forward on a new concept and get it going.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I commend everyone that was there making it happen. And I've been here almost 2 years now. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of work, but a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's talk about this. We alluded to this briefly when we were introducing you, and we also were talking about it a little bit in the green room chatter. And that is animal welfare being tied to human service. And I think a lot of times we think of animal welfare as its own standalone sector and it's over here. But talk to us about this link that we don't always understand about
Sure.
animals and human services.
Yeah, sure. No, thank you. I think the failure for us is to not recognize that over 80% of Americans have some kind of animal in their home. That's
Wow.
Yeah, so whether it be a cat or dog, it could be a fish or a gerbil or a rabbit, but over 80% of Americans have some other creature that they love in their home that they think of as family. So when humans are facing different situations, whether it be domestic violence, which is really a big, and it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So
Yep.
I think it's a great opportunity to talk about that. 45 to 60%, there's sort of a little bit all over, of individuals actually will not leave their home because of their animals. So having shelter available for animals and for the human is really, really important. And that's one thing I'm very proud at Heidi's Village, is that we can do that temporary care kind of boarding too for those people and provide that service. We are working in partnership with some different homeless programs and helping homeless individuals transition from the streets to a home. And through that transitioning time, they have the opportunity to put their dogs or cats in boarding here, which then gives them the strength and the courage to go out, find that job, get their apartment, get things going again. So I love, love, love when somebody comes after 90 days or whatever and comes picks back up their animals. It just always brings tears to my eyes. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this worked. So yeah, it's very important.
It's really interesting. I mean, do you find that this is a link that you have to educate other folks in the nonprofit sector, or does everybody kind of get this?
No, it's definitely an education that I've been providing. I've really gotten involved with the Arizona Department of Housing and some of the different homeless communities, the St. Vincent de Paul's, the CAS, the others, and they are all doing some pretty amazing things to start thinking about pets and sheltering of humans. So I think we're starting to understand that bridge that needs to come together. And I'm very excited about that, because as we look at our whole economics and what's going on here, I mean, our population is exploding, and you can't find rents for under $1,000.
Yeah.
Minimum wage is $12.80, but livable wage is almost $21. So
Right.
there are a lot of things happening in our community, putting people and animals in a lot of stress. So that you can be a part of that solution.
I love that you are thinking about that and working with the community. In your community alone, you're working with more than 80 other organizations.
Yes.
That's stunning. That's absolutely stunning. And is that statewide, or is that more in the urban area?
More Maricopa County, actually. We don't really we have one or two partners out of Tucson, but otherwise they're all pretty much here in the metro area of Phoenix.
Wow. Well, let's move a little bit in a different direction, and let's have you talk to us about your donor demographics and how you're connecting to different demographics. We keep hearing more and more, reporting on how younger donors are much more interested in in animal welfare, environmental concerns than their parents or their grandparents. Are you seeing any of this?
I think, Julie, for us, honestly, at Heidi's Village, it's because we are so new, we're still trying to attract the donor. So
Sure,
um,
sure.
we have definitely have seen a great volunteerism on the younger generation, which has been very, very helpful.
Mhm.
People can come volunteer to help with our cats or walk our dogs um, and then we've seen the other spectrum, a lot of seniors that really want to come and be a part of what we're doing here. So
Wow.
I, it's been an interesting journey for us at Heidi's Village and trying to raise the awareness and understanding of how animal welfare and the needs of the animals is so great, and looking for those that have their time, their treasures or whatever they can give
Yeah.
back. So we have seen the whole spectrum. So it's one way to the other.
So when you're looking at these different demographics, are you marketing to these different demographics in a variety of ways, or are you, because you're so new, still kind of keeping it all the same?
We're doing a little bit of both. I mean, we've really upped our social media game, and that seems to be attracting a lot of the younger generation. We've done a lot of kind of asks out on social media, which has been great success. Sometimes it's just for goods, in kind stuff,
Sure.
which is really very, very helpful to us. And then we've done the traditional kind of newsletters, mailings, direct mails, trying to attract all generations, and really, again, just raising that awareness of that we're here and we're helping, and we need the community support to do that.
Now, this is kind of an off the wall question, which just made me, I'm still stuck on that number of 80 organizations that you're working with. Do you have like a separate marketing campaign or communication strategy just for those organizations, like the internal sector kind of communication?
Yes and no. I mean, most of our 80 partnerships are other rescue organizations. So that just demonstrates how great a need there was to find space for animals and how great a need there was to find affordable veterinary care so that they can take care of more animals and we can save more lives. So I think I have to say that was fairly, we really didn't have to work that hard on that. I don't know what the word is. It was a very natural progression of getting those partnerships in and involved with us. I would say we have 20 very strong core partners and several others that use us intermittently for different things. And then we have other partnerships that we work with cities and Lost Our Home and Arizona Pet Project and other ones that are doing animal care, but needed that, again, that place of affordability and that place of uh, secure, safe, quality care.
Right. It's so interesting. I would imagine that word has gotten out quickly with the other organizations because it is so unique and it's such a bridge kind of service.
Mhm.
And then obviously it sounds like you have the ability to meet these needs with such a large campus.
We do. I think the one thing that has taken us by surprise a little bit at Heidi's Village is not only is all the number of cats. So we also have a neonate clinic here, meaning they're newborns for newborn kittens. So that's the only part of our organization that we have support 24/7 because those have to be fed every couple hours. And currently we have about 150 kittens in our care. And uh, it's a lot. So those actually all are Heidi's Village animals. So that's and we Heidi's Village is starting to see a lot of more people surrendering directly to us. So they're starting to see us as a resource of a place to surrender their animal. And of course, we're not going to let any animal go without help. If we can't do it, we'll definitely try to find the resources that can. So
Mhm.
that wasn't quite the direction we thought as an organization we were going to go, but it's just kind of naturally happening.
Yeah. You know, a lot of nonprofits, start one way and then their journey takes them somewhere else. Because you're compassionate and knowledgeable and you have an infrastructure, it's hard to say no.
It is hard to say no,
It's hard to say no. And
especially when you're looking in those little eyes.
yeah, I mean, so you have 150 kittens. How many dogs are you currently sheltering?
Right now, we have about the same amount of dogs right now.
Wow, that is a massive number of animals on your property.
Yes, yes, it is.
Wow, amazing. Well, talking about animals, I have to say I have the sweetest little face coming up here on the screen. And for those of you listening to us on podcast, I have no idea what this dog is, but he's just so dear looking. And I really want to know, what have been your most successful fundraising campaigns? Like, what have they looked like? How have they drawn, um, new donors to you, or kept, retained existing donors? Like, what are some of the things that stand out as being successful for you?
Again, being so new, we haven't had huge successes, but one thing I'm very proud of is one program we've started is our Heidi's Heroes. And that's really where someone can do a monthly giving to us. And, whether it be $25, $100, $500, whatever somebody can do, that has been really very successful. I mean, again, we're young, we're just getting started. So we only have probably 60 or 70 people doing that right now, but we started at zero. Oh, and we only started about 9 months ago. So I think that's pretty good.
I think that's phenomenal. And
Yes.
in an environment where you probably, I mean, you weren't able to conduct tours, or you weren't able to do so many things that most people do when they initiate giving societies. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I think that's
So we
fabulous.
have a nice little T-shirt we give when they are Heidi's Heroes, so you can wear it proudly out in the community.
I
And it's
love it.
a dog. I meant to bring one with me, but a dog with a cape on it. It's just really super cute. So that's been very successful. And again, I think our social media, we've done a lot for. We go through dog beds quite quickly here. I can. So that's so we did a big push out on social media where to go buy the beds for us. And we probably received close to $4,500 worth of beds back to us. So that's stuff is huge for us, And again, we really pride ourselves on having high quality and keeping dogs comfortable and with lots of respect and dignity. So
Yeah.
that's so important.
Yeah. Really, it's one of those things I would have never thought about, but it's like, yeah, duh. A basic thing. So when you're doing campaigns, whether it be for goods or services or money, I would love to kind of tap into what your experience is looking like with services. So, for example, people that have a passion for volunteerism versus people that actually are from the professional sector, vet techs, veterinarians. What is that looking like for you in this space?
So on the volunteerism wise, we are currently have about 100 volunteers that are very active with us, and we have several groups that come in weekly that will support us. Some are actually disabled individuals that are coming in and doing different activities for us, stuffing Kongs, making enrichment toys for the dogs. And again, all that support is great. On our vet side of things, we've had a few of the different surgeons come in and provide some pretty high dollar surgeries. We had Teacup Annie last year with a very big heart murmur that was expected to maybe live a year. She was a puppy, but came in, adopted open heart surgery on her. Saved her life, and she's off living on a farm, living her best life now. So that kind of stuff is there. It's like I don't even know how you value it because it's
Yeah.
the dog's life, and but the gentleman giving his time and the surgeon giving his time was really helpful to us. So people give a variety of different ways, and sometimes it's just supplies in the veterinary clinic that have helped us too through other organizations that typically would supply us, but are also giving in a charitable way.
Wow, amazing. It's such an interesting thing to think about your amalgamation of different needs and services that are going to be a little bit different than other animal welfare organizations. How do you communicate that? How do you share to the potential donor or the existing donor of why and how you're different?
I will say, like, to be very honest, Julia, it's a learning process because it is because we are unique. There's really no other shelter that provides services like we do across the United States, because we did a lot of research when we started to open. So
Yeah.
it is challenging at time to get people to understand the gap, what we're asking people to pay for boarding and what it actually costs us to run are two very different numbers.
I'm
so
sure.
so
Yeah.
we're working on that and trying to understand how how a dollar and what a dollar will do for us here. But to be very transparent, we haven't figured all that out yet. It's
Sure.
like, yeah.
Well, and I gotta believe that, how this is structured and how it works in, the pandemic that you opened in is going to shift in the next 5 years.
Oh,
When
I believe that to be very true.
I mean, so it's such a fascinating thing to see you navigating this story. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on it. It's so interesting to see the size of your organization that's gotten out of the gate so strongly in a cataclysmic time. I mean, I think it's fascinating. I really do. We have a viewer that's written in, and this viewer writes, I commend you on this program. Back when I was an interim executive director of a largish cat rescue organization, about 2,500 per year, I was very sad to turn away people who had just needed an affordable place to care for their pets while they were in hospital or had to be away. Wish your organization type had been around.
No, very sweet. Yeah.
Cool. But
Yeah.
it speaks to the issue of how, um, you are a unique thing.
Yes. I mean, it's again, I think to what you just said, Julia, but over the next 5 years, it'll be interesting to see where it all goes. Animals are definitely a part of our lives.
Hmm.
And as the economics and dynamics change for us as humans, it may get harder and harder for people to hold on to their animals. And we want to just be that safety net for them and to see how we can support. Because truly, if we can find resources to help you hold your animal in your home, we are all ahead of the game.
Yeah.
The county has grown tremendously. I mean, we're almost 4.5 million people here. It's like,
Hmm.
that's a lot of animals. So,
Yeah, it really is. Well, I'm fascinated with that 80%. If you had asked me that, like, what percentage of Americans have, a furry friend as a family member, I would have never gotten anywhere near that. So that's pretty amazing. And I shouldn't just say furry because, to the point of fish and everything else.
right, it could be
But I
a
mean,
rabbit,
kids.
it could be whatever. But there's somebody in their
Yeah,
house.
but I mean, it's really an interesting thing to think about because that is a part of American society, and what that looks like on the outside is pretty significant. So very, very interesting to have your perspective. So when we don't have much time left, Cindy, but when you look at the future, what is it that you see your greatest need is going to be?
Oh gosh, greatest need is probably really and truly going to be the funding. I mean, I
Yeah.
will say the Virginia B. Jauntis Foundation, Jenny Jauntis, our founder, and her foundation have been really the backbone of how we've operated. Uh, but we get about half our revenue from her and the other half from anything that brings in. So finding creative ways to get the word out and having people understand the greatest, there's such a big need here, and it helps both the human and the four-legged. So
Yeah, I love it. Well, I'm really impressed with your 70 Heidi's Heroes. And if you've done that in 9 months, and what do you think the trajectory is moving forward? I mean, like, do you think you'll get that many next year? Or, I mean, do you have a sense of that? I know it's hard when you're so new and a
it is hard.
9-month-old
It is hard,
program.
but I feel like we're gaining greater support and greater awareness of who we are out there. So really, I'd love by the end of 2023, I'd love to have 500. I mean, that's kind of my goal.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I'm a
Well,
real goal oriented. So anyone can help. Jump on board. Help me meet my goal.
oh my gosh. Well, I say that we book you for the end of 2023. And so we see what this trajectory looks like because it's such an interesting path. I mean, if you could do that many in a giving society, um, that quickly in a pandemic, I think that's a shockingly successful. I mean, really, Cindy, that's
Exactly.
amazing. So good job.
Thanks. Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, a lot of work, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Well, here's Cindy Kenville's information, CEO of Heidi's Village, heidisvillage.org. Check them out. Their website's terrific, beautifully done, and it really communicates, I would say, the spirit of how you operate and what you're doing and how unique it is. I love that it's a model for other organizations to partner with, especially when you brought up that number of working with almost 80 other nonprofits throughout your community. That is remarkable. And so that in itself is a whole nother kettle of fish. I mean, working in cooperation with another nonprofit isn't always easy.
True, true. But we all have one thing in common. We have great passion for the animals we're caring for. So
Yeah,
never lose
absolutely.
sight of that.
Yeah, well, you have been just a delight to have on. We need to check back in with you and see how things are going so that we can kind of keep track of your successes and hear about your challenges and how you've overcome them because it sounds to me like you've got an amazing team that's really coming ahead in a time that's been incredibly challenging for most organizations, let alone startups. So
Yes, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
super, super impressed. Again, if we haven't met, I'm Julia Patrick, CEO of the American Nonprofit Academy. Jarrett Ransom, the nonprofit nerd, will be back with us tomorrow. Hey, again, thank you to all of our presenting sponsors, Bloomerang, American Nonprofit Academy, Your Part-Time Controller, Be Generous, Fundraising Academy at National University, Staffing Boutique, Nonprofit Thought Leader, and the Nonprofit Nerd. These are the folks that are with us day in and day out. And because they're here, we've been able to have this conversation with Cindy Kenville of Heidi's Village today. Cindy, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It was my pleasure.
It was a lot of fun. Keep up the good work. And as we like to end every episode, we want to remind ourselves, our viewers, our listeners, and our guests to stay well so you can do well. We'll see you back here tomorrow, everyone. Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you.
Bye.